Hey Crusaders, and welcome back to the channel. I'm going to talk to you today in two parts. The video is going to come in two parts, and if I had to title this video anything, I'm going to call it Take Nothing for Granted. First part of the video, I'm going to relate something that happened to me, and hopefully you can learn something from it as well. Second half of the video, please stick around for it. I'm going to talk to you about elections tomorrow, and even if you're watching this video after the election, what I'm going to talk to you about is still going to be very relative, so stick around for that. Again, please like, share, subscribe this video and to my channel. I've got great content coming out, and I think that if you stick around for that, you're going to be very interested to see what's coming up. First part of this video, I had a scare this past week. I did something that I knew that I should have never done, and it was, well, I learned a lesson, and it's a lesson that I'd already learned, but let me back up. Back in 1992, August of 92, I was 15 years old, and my grandmother got in a very bad accident. Her and my grandfather were priming a carburetor in a van that they had, and you know those old vans where the inside comes off, the inside of the van, the cowling comes off and then exposes the engine inside of the van instead of the outside. You can get to it and work on it. Well, my grandmother was sitting in the cab of the van, and my grandfather was outside, and they were priming the carburetor. She had a cup of gasoline. They were trying to get it to roll over. Anyway, the van backfired. A fire went inside of the van, burnt her really bad, and she lost her life to it. She stayed 2 weeks in a hospital and fought as hard as she could, but after 2 weeks, all of the infection from the burns and everything, it took her, and I was, like I said, I was I think 15, and that was August of 92. I had just got through camping with them, and I came home to that news that she had had the accident. But so let me fast forward to this past week. My son, he has a Yukon. We were trying to get it to fire off. He had changed the fuel filter in it, and we were trying to get it to roll over after changing the fuel filter. Well, I know I shouldn't have done it. I know it's dangerous. I had some starter fluid, shooting it through the air intake, getting it to roll over. Well, it backfired. And when it backfired, it blew up the entire plastic air intake cover that was completely across. I think I almost gave myself a concussion. I mean, this thing was loud, bright. I had the starter can in my hand. Something hit me in the chest. I'm still a little bit sore from that. I don't know what happened. But like I said, I probably knew better, you know, just trying to get it to roll over and trying to get it fired. But anyway, don't take anything for granted. Take nothing for granted. I thought the can had blew up in my hand, and so I was extremely lucky. And you know, like I said, I knew better, having lost my grandmother to an accident that was eerily similar to what I was doing at the time, and then for that to blow up, and like I said, I was extremely lucky. So take nothing for granted on that. So tomorrow is election day, and everybody's talking about the red wave, and we're hoping that the red wave actually exists, or that it doesn't get stolen this time. But take nothing for granted again. If you're able to, get out and vote. I'm not going to tell you how to vote. You know, I guess you can say that me talking about the red wave's telling you how to vote. But I want to ask you something. Mike Huckabee, the former governor of Arkansas, and the former governor, or the former presidential candidate, Mike Huckabee, he said something in his book, and I'd read his book not too long ago. And in his book, he posed a question to a Democrat. This Democrat, a Christian lady, and he asked her, he said, you call yourself a Christian, but you vote for the party that believes in abortion. You vote for this party. How can you still consider yourself a Christian and call yourself a Christian by voting for a party that believes in killing babies? Very good question. How can you call yourself that? But now I think the odds have even been raised, you know, as far as everything we've seen this party stand for to the left, as far as, you know, not just abortion, but gender and everything else. It's an abomination. The things that this party is doing is an abomination under the eyes of God. And so if you support the Democratic Party, how can you call yourself a Christian? Just plain and simple, because everything that they're doing is I'm going to say it with an antichrist spirit. It seems like what they're doing is everything against what Christ would want. So, I mean, that's that. And I told you in a separate video that I wanted you to try to reach out and find different avenues of news media. And here's a case in point on this, and I bet you didn't see this on Fox or CNN. It came out last week that the Russians were able to hack the cell phone of ex-Prime Minister Liz Truss. Liz Truss. Liz Truss was only British Prime Minister, 40-something days? But evidently she was in deep. You remember several weeks ago when the Nord Stream pipeline explosion occurred and everybody was talking about whether or not who did it? Well, I think the Russians may have found the smoking gun on that situation. It's been reported that they have evidence that within minutes of Nord Stream 2 being sabotaged and the explosions taking place, Liz Truss sent a text message to United States Secretary of State Antony Blinken that said, it's done. We're talking about within minutes of Nord Stream 2 being sabotaged and then her sending the message. I don't know what, Great Britain, the United States, have to win by sabotaging that pipeline unless, and this is one of the thoughts that I'm just going to propose. Everybody knows the red wave's coming. The red wave's coming tomorrow. I've told you in other videos that we have to survive between November 8th and January 3rd until the new Congress is sworn in. I don't know if they're trying to get us into something. I don't know if they're trying to get us into World War III and, try to prevent us from actually, or from the Republicans and conservatives of being able to take over the House or the Senate, whether or not they actually have a contingency plan in place. And with this administration, they probably got a contingency plan in place, or they've already been talking about, hey, if we lose this, how can we hold on to power? Now, and that brings me another thing. You've seen Biden's two speeches that he's made lately, the two evil-looking speeches, the one with the red backdrop, and then this one a few days ago. This administration and this party is the most divisive party that I have ever seen. Even if you want to go even greater than Obama, who is probably the one behind the scenes pulling the strings on this party. But in both of these speeches, Biden has talked about how evil MAGA is, Make America Great Again. How can you say Make America Great Again is an evil and something bad? I mean, you can't argue with that, but some of the things he says is off the wall anyway. But they are painting at least half of this country to be, and Hillary's called us deplorable. Biden is calling us destruction to democracy. So he's telling you that if you vote a certain way that you're trying to destroy democracy. I'm telling you guys, this is not, this tomorrow, and this goes on, take nothing for granted. Take nothing for granted with our country. Know what's going on. Know what these people are saying. Know what they're doing behind the scenes. And if, like I said, be vigilant. Be vigilant in the next several months. Again, stay prepared. Keep your head on a swivel. Know what's going on around you. Know what's going on in the news. We all know what's going on. We all know that it's the end of days, probably. You read your Bible, it's just prophecy, roadmap. But as far as what we're going through now, we've been through things before, and this too shall pass. But take nothing for granted, because we don't know how bad things have gotten yet. I don't know that we know that how far it's going to take us to actually turn the country around, or whether or not we can actually turn it around after this red wave. Everybody would like to set back the clock. Well, we can't turn back the clock. So, don't take what we still have for granted and hang on to it. But again, like, share, subscribe this channel. I really appreciate you watching. And until next time, keep your armor on.